So welcome back to DC Silver Age Storytime, and today we have more Fun Comics number 75, published in January 1942, so we're into 1942, The Battle Against Time. And so on the cover we have yet again Dr. Fate, and I don't like this cover. I don't know, just him jumping through the window looking kind of silly. So this is a bit of a muddled story, so I'm going to try and get through it as best I can. Inza goes to a friend of hers who claims he was framed for a murder he didn't commit, so she decides that she's going to call on Dr. Fate to help out. But apparently he's going to be executed tonight at midnight, so hence the battle against time. So she manages to contact Dr. Fate, and he comes and she explains, "You've got to save him, Fate. He's innocent and he dies tonight at midnight. Then I must see him at once, and visiting hours are over." So he goes there, and I guess he gets some information on the man that he killed, and kind of relays the story. He's a reporter, and he wants to, I'm sorry, he writes detective novels. He's a writer, and he wanted a personal experience with a gangster. And so a friend of his introduced him to the Dude, a big-time crook. And so he goes there, and the Dude says, "You want to make me a villain for a story? Hey, well, that's all right with me. Suppose you come over to the apartment while I get dressed up." "Why, sure. What could go wrong?" So the Dude tells him that some punks are trying to get him out of the way, and they're going to show up tonight, so, or maybe. But he tells him, "Don't be scared." So this fellow is sitting there and he has a drink, and then I guess he nods off. "I was drugged by Dude. I'm sure he killed that gorilla, but I can't prove it. The gun was found beside my unconscious body." And so Dr. Fate says the killer wore a wristwatch, but the Dude never does. It's an aversion of his. He might have hired a killer. So we know it's not the Dude, because the Dude has an aversion to wristwatches. I also wonder how he knows that this killer wore a wristwatch. Who saw that? Is this some power that Dr. Fate has? Because this guy was asleep. But whatever. So he goes and drops in on the Dude's gang and starts doing his old puns. "You better save that lead for pencils. Talking about pencils, maybe I'd better erase one of you so the other won't get tongue-tied." And he continues to be silly. After getting a beating, they tell him where to find the Dude. The Dude is one of those shakedown artists who he wants money from, in this case, a department store. "But I paid you $1,000 last week for protection." So it's a protection racket. "I can't give you any more." So they start wrecking the place, which seems like it would make it harder for him to make money, but whatever. I guess that's how a protection racket is run. But Dr. Fate shows up and again starts beating the guys up. "Hello, Dude. Glad to see you looking so well, because in a few moments you aren't going to. Dr. Fate." So he starts working over the Dude. And he says, "Plenty more will happen to you unless you tell me who framed Westcott. Who killed that gangster?" "One of the boys, but I don't know which one." "If I could be sure of my suspicions that you killed that punk, I'd make you confess, but I can't, so I'll let you go. Come on, Monk, get muscles." So I don't know why Dr. Fate's just letting him go. I mean, he knows that he was wrecking this guy's store. None of this makes sense. "Before you go, I want you to stay away from this store and the damaged muscles." Okay, so he threatens him, but the store owner is still scared. "The man that killed that torpedo wore a wristwatch. The Dude never does. He must. I mean, I've seen. Maybe I better not talk about it. Come clean. You needn't worry about the Dude. If once I can be sure he murdered that man. It's just a scar on his right wrist. You saw how tanned he was. Well, look at his right wrist." Okay, so we got a lot of old-timey 1940s tropes, including the race against time, but also another one you'll see in just a moment. So the Dude says, Dr. Fate's invincible. "I got it. He can't be hoit with bullets. But the guy's got to breathe, ain't he? Suppose we rig up a little noose. So everyone seems to figure out that he has a weakness to breathing. So now we see that apparently the dude does wear wristwatches, but apparently, this is silly. I hate these gadgets, but it's the best way of knowing when my half hour of sun lamp treatment is up. Well, you don't have to put it on. You could have a clock next to you, or you could just lay the wristwatch down. But no, he's got to get his sun tanning with the wristwatch on. So again, Dr. Fate attacks the mugs, the crooks. Run, run! He could travel plenty fast. Feet, do your duty. And he beats him up again, and he tells puns again. My, the boydies sure sing sweet these days. Jeez. So he goes in through this door, and down drops a noose. Caught like a rabbit in a trap. Ugh! The force of his leap catches the rope so strongly about his throat that his hands cannot release it. But one of the crooks comes in, he swings, and then stands on his back. Thanks, monk. This little piggyback was all I needed to relieve the tension of the rope, so he's free pretty much immediately, and beats him up again. As Shakespeare said, empty things sure make the most noise. Is that true? Did Shakespeare say that? I don't know. The dude tries to get away, and Dr. Fate pulls up his sleeve to reveal he's tanned except for one line there. A wristwatch-sized untanned spot. Bert Westcott said you saw an arm with a wristwatch. I don't know how. I thought he was knocked out. But I don't. I never do. You wear one while you take a sunbath because the white mark shows where it is. The rest of your arm is tan except where that one place where you wear a wristwatch. I never thought of that. You never noticed it? Pardon the informality, sir, but the dude is guilty of the murder for which Westcott is to die. Is that correct, dude? Yeah, I am. I'd rather go to jail than have you work on me. Well, you're going to go to jail and you're going to get executed, so that's pretty bad. I'll give you a pardon, Fate, but you must hurry. It is nearly time for the execution. With the speed of the wind, Dr. Fate races to the big house and to the corridor known as the Last Mile. Hold everything. I have a pardon for Westcott. The real killer is the dude. You did it. He's caved in. The shock was too much for him. He sure looks in bad shape. Huh? You ought to see the dude. Jeez. Yeah, so the enemies of Dr. Fate have certainly diminished in strength. So that is The Battle Against Time.